Well, hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It is great to be with you. Today is Wednesday, May 21st, 2025, and again, it is so wonderful to be with everyone here on the Inspirations for Your Life show. Thanks for joining me. Really do appreciate that, and I hope that you find this to be a great show for you guys. If you haven't had a chance, well, feel free to go to the kitchen and get yourself something hot or cold and hurry on back. All right. And we have a great topic for the week. As you know, the master topic is building a better world through love, resilience, and renewal. And our granular topic for today is foster meaningful connections rooted in mutual respect. Series 4, show 21, episode number 5. So, welcome everyone. Welcome, 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 and welcome. I'm so grateful to have all of you here on the show this evening. Thank you so much for being here. So, without any further ado, let's kick this show off, okay? And I think when we talk about, you know, um, the concept, just the concept of, what's going to happen with people, how are we going to foster this meaningful, connection? And I think that can be hard for some people because it sounds like something that's pie in the sky, but really it's not. It's something that comes from deep roots of, who you are as a person. So I think that's very very important to understand because you make the difference that can change this entire world. All right. Well, in this episode, ladies and gentlemen, I'm diving deep into what truly makes human connections thrive. In a world that often values speed over depth and convenience over care, it's time to reclaim the beauty of building real, respectful relationships. Tonight, I'm exploring how mutual respect isn't just a virtue, it's the heartbeat of meaningful connections. From being intentional to setting healthy boundaries and leading with vulnerability, I'm going to uncover the keys to forming bonds that go way beyond the surface level. Whether you're connecting with friends, colleagues, or loved ones, these practices will help you grow stronger ties rooted in empathy, integrity, and trust. So let's get started. But before I do, I am your host, ladies and gentlemen, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, podcast host, and coach. And it's always a privilege and pleasure to be with you here on the show. Thank you so much for choosing to join us. And remember to check out believemeachieve.com for, of course, more of my amazing, inspiring creations. All right, everyone. Great to be with you here tonight. So let's kick this off. All right. So, number one is intentional connection. True connection doesn't happen by accident. It's a conscious choice. Being intentional means showing up with presence and purpose. It's about engaging with people, not because you have to, but because you want to, whether it's taking the time to ask meaningful questions or simply being available and focused. Intentionality communicates value. When we choose to invest in others, we're thoughtful and we create sets of opportunities for deeper understanding and collaboration, and of course, emotional resonance. Intentional connection starts with awareness and grows with consistency. Number two, guys, mutual respect. Respect isn't just about being polite, it's about valuing someone's voice, space, and humanity. Mutual respect forms the cornerstone of every meaningful relationship. It tells others you matter in any interaction when both parties honor one another's boundaries, experiences, and perspectives. A safe container where it's created for authenticity. Respect builds trust. It dismantles assumptions and makes space for true collaboration. It's not about always agreeing, but about treating each other with fairness and dignity, even when perspectives differ. So I always say it's okay to agree to disagree. You have complete um, right to do that, but just do it in a manner that doesn't come off pompous. That doesn't come off like you're the kingpin, because that really is a problem. I think that's something that's very hard to understand, and maybe you'll realize that when people have treated you this way, you won't treat others that way. Okay. Again, as I said, it's not just about being polite. Number three, active listening. Listening isn't just hearing words, guys. It's understanding emotion, intention, and the need behind them. Active listening requires us to be fully present and quiet, the noise in our own minds, as we'd say. It's about giving someone our undivided attention, validating their thoughts, and responding with empathy. When people feel heard, they feel seen. That moment of recognition can change the direction of a conversation or a relationship. Listening is an underrated superpower that builds bridges and heals those rifts that oftentimes happen in relationships, not because they want to, but because of some disagreement that's gotten under the rug and it's causing a problem. Number four, guys, healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are bridges to healthier interaction. Setting limits helps define what's acceptable and what isn't, allowing both parties to feel safe and respected. Healthy boundaries clarify roles, prevent burnout, and reduce resentment. More importantly, everyone, they invite mutual accountability and self respect. When we communicate our needs and honor others' boundaries in the return, we foster this deep sense of connection that is sustainable and rooted in true honesty. Number five, vulnerability. Vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness, and but it's actually one of the strongest acts we can commit to. Sharing our truth, our struggles, our passion, or uncertainties invites connection on a human, personal level. When we dare to be seen for who we are, we allow others to do the same. Vulnerabilities encourage authenticity and opens the door for empathy and deeper trust. It says, "This is me, and I believe you." Hold space for that. In return, it creates a safe space and place for others to take off their emotional armor too, because I think sometimes people put so much emotional armor on that they don't even know when it's on them. And they act with this very cold front. That's not them, but something they put on to try to protect themselves. So I think that's a very, very important thing to understand. Number six, non transactional relationships. Relationships shouldn't be scorecards or business deals. When we interact with people only for what they can offer us, well, the bond becomes, how can I say, hollow, non transactional. Relationships are built on shared experiences, loyalty, kindness, and genuine care. They thrive on reciprocity, not expectation. Choosing, okay, to give without strings and to support without demands transforms everyday connections into meaningful, lasting partnerships. These relationships grow richer over time and often become our most cherished. Number seven, guys, daily respectful actions. Respect isn't just for big moments, it's expressed in the small, everyday things. A kind word, a door held open, a name remembered. These micro gestures build trust and warmth over time. Now, practicing daily respect reinforces dignity and belonging for everyone we interact with. It also keeps us mindful of how our energy impacts others. When respect becomes a lifestyle, not a reaction, we become agents of positive change in every space that we choose to enter. So I think, you know, talking about a meaningful connection, right? A connection where there's going to be a benefit for both parties, not one that is going to be one sided. I think that's something that many people just don't seem to understand, but it's something that I believe everyone should take a moment to realize, in their life. And I think if we do that, um, I think our lives can be richer. They can be full of more joy. They can allow us to have more lessons in our life that we can benefit from. But it's important to understand that, right? It's important to know that everyone in our life deserves trust, regardless of what color, what race, what ethnicity, what orientation they have of gender, liking who or who they identify as. Um, and even, it could be something as simple as their political party, right? So these are important things to understand. And number seven, guys, when we talk about daily respectful actions, um, it's not for those big moments only. It's expressed in the small everyday things, right? And so I think that's the thing that most people here don't realize is that it's not the grand gesture that builds the friendship. Sure, that can impress somebody, but it's not the grand gesture. It is everything else that's happened between. And I think most people would realize that if you can take the time, then you can actually build something that not only is worthwhile for you, but for many people. I think our world is about wanting to learn things. I think the reason that sometimes people come off aggressive is because they're having a hard time. But putting your weight or your garbage on someone else, expecting them to just step in and help you when there hasn't even been any kind of a bond built, that's like below the belt, guys. I mean, that's just not the way you do it. And fine, if that person helps you, um, you know, that's nice, but that person's being really, let's say, welcoming to you and doesn't even have to do that. All right. So if you are saying that people in your life, okay, are tripping you up because you can't foster meaningful connections, and I'm going to tell you something, folks, and you're not going to like this. It's all about you. Okay. It's not about the other person. Now, what I want to do is give you um, some, let's say, personal stories and lessons, one for each point today. Um, and hopefully, this will solidify like where I'm coming from with this. Hopefully, it'll get you to realize that there's more to life than just what you see on the surface. And I think when we approach life like that, our world can really change. Our world can really go to an entirely new level. Right. And you might say, John, that's only in the storybooks. Well, the thing is, what we create in our minds does happen in our life. I just know that sometimes we get a little bit distraught because it's not what we want today. And we figure, well, you know what? I'm just going to go get what I want because I'm not getting it anyway. So I'm just going to go do this. And that's a terrible attitude to have, guys. So, my first lesson I want to share is about intentional connection. A few years ago, I realized I was spending time with people, but not truly connecting. I remember meeting an old college friend for a cup of coffee, and we hadn't seen each other in years. Halfway through, I noticed I was checking my phone more than making eye contact. It hit me. I was present physically, but not mentally or emotionally. I decided to put the phone away, leaned in, and started asking more open ended questions about his life, passions, and struggles. That conversation went deeper than we ever had before. And our friendship rekindled from that moment right there. The lesson: intentionality turns time spent with someone into time spent for someone. And that makes all the difference. Let me say that again. Intentionality turns time spent with someone into time spent for someone. Number two, guys, this is one of my ultimate favorites, and it is mutual respect. At one of my earlier projects I was on, I had a colleague whose views often clashed with mine, but we always agreed to disagree politely. One day, after unfortunately a heated team discussion, he approached me and said, I may not always agree with you, but I value how you speak with respect, even when frustrated. That acknowledgement changed our dynamic. I made a point to not just listen, but to validate him and his perspective, even when I disagreed with him. Over time, we developed this rhythm of mutual respect that allowed for more collaboration and less friction. The takeaway is respect isn't about a consensus, it's about dignity, and offering it consistently builds the trust needed to bridge differences. I think when you can talk with somebody and you can appreciate them for who they are at that given moment, I think life can really, really change. And that's something that many people just don't get. They believe that they have to put on some false front. And although that sounds like a good idea, it usually will backfire in your face, if not within a day, a week, a month, or maybe even longer. But when it backfires, the more time it takes, it becomes worse and a lot harder to recover from. So why get stuck in this in the beginning, right? That's an important thing. Number three, active listening. I was once mentoring another entrepreneur who seemed distracted during even our phone calls. But one session, we were together, he opened up about a recent failure that he shook his confidence on. Instead of jumping into advice mode, I paused. I leaned in and said, "Tell me more." That 30-second pause changed everything. He started sharing very openly, and I listened deeply without interrupting. That moment built a stronger mentorship bond than any technical tips I could have ever offered him. The lesson: when someone speaks, they don't always want solutions, they want to feel heard. Active listening isn't passive, it's a powerful connective force. And ever since that point that we built that deeper bond, my advice seemed to be much more effective because he allowed it to go directly into his subconscious. That happened because he had built trust with me. But sometimes trust is scary, right? I'm not going to tell you trust is easy, but I'm going to tell you that if you embrace trust, your life can change in the positive direction. Number four, guys, healthy boundaries. There was a time in my life when I said yes to everything and everyone: extra meetings, late night projects, weekend favors. Eventually, I burned out. A friend sat me down and said, "Hey, John, you're not helping anyone by running on empty." I kind of like smiled. He's like, "That's when I began learning the value of saying no with grace." I started setting working hours, taking real breaks, and clarifying my limits. Surprisingly, people respected me more, not less, and I showed up with more energy and presence when I did say yes. The insight was different. Boundaries don't push people away, they show them the way, and it will show you how to connect with the best version of you. I think we're always worried about, if we don't do this, what are they going to think about me? Well, if you're constantly all about somebody else and what they're doing, then I feel that there could be a big problem in your life. A problem that you might not see as a problem, but one that I believe will fester and become something so dangerous that it will be toxic enough to damage your relationship and many of the relationships you have with people around you, whether they be uh, platonic, non platonic, business, personal. Number five, guys, vulnerability. During a speech I gave years ago, I unexpectedly shared a personal story about struggling with self doubt. I hadn't planned to do that, but something in the room told me to speak from the heart. Afterward, several people approached me, not to talk about my business tips, but to thank me for being real. One person said, "John, that's exactly what I needed to hear." That experience reminded me that vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a hidden strength in raw form. When we open up, we give others permission to do the same, and that creates powerful, authentic bonds. I think the way you can approach this is by saying that, you know, you have this presentation or a retreat or this meeting, and everybody sees you as this polished person. You can say, hey, I'm not perfect. And I've made mistakes and I've learned from them. And I think when people know that you're human, they suddenly have a different perspective, different image, different thought, even a different attitude toward you. Number 6, guys, non-transactional relationships. A relationship's not about a transaction, okay? I once helped a colleague launch their side business, offering time and support without asking for anything in return. Months later, I faced a challenge in my own venture. And guess who showed up with the resources and encouragement and even referrals? That same person and I are still friends today. We never kept score, but we both gained deeply from the friendship that we built. You see, this taught me that the most valuable relationships are those that are built upon true trust and care, not a calculation. When you give freely, you invite relationships that give back in ways you never dreamt possible or expected. And I think if you can understand what a transactional relationship means, it's like a tit for tat, right? I do this, you're going to do this for me. And although that sounds like a very fair way to do it, it's always measuring the cards, right? You're always keeping score. Well, it's 1-1. Or in tennis, I like to say it's love 5 or love 10. And tennis is the only sport where there's two things, okay? Where 0 means something good, love. 5, love. 10, love. And my question comes up, which is a really interesting one. How did tennis create love for 0 in the game? Well, the origins of love as a scorer lie in the figure 0, resemblance to an egg. In sport, it's common to refer to a nil or naught score as a duck or a goose or an egg. And the French word for egg is l'œuf, the pronunciation, I should say, which is too far removed from the English love. Therefore, that's where we get love. And so when somebody says, I lost tennis, I didn't lose. I got love. And that might not be what your tennis coach wants you to hear, but I think that's created a lot of great relationships. I know some great movies that have happened based on true stories about people that found the courage to explore and to build friendships and lasting life partnerships. So a sport is good because it allows somebody to be together with a commonality. If I play golf and you play golf, which I do, it's a great way to connect with me because I love golf. But don't do something just because the other person does it. You've got to enjoy it too. I'll give you a perfect example. Maybe I like to take hikes, which I do. And you want to hang around me, so you decide you're going to hike. But if that's not something that fits your makeup or who you are, don't change yourself. Okay? I think finding commonalities that are true and that you enjoy will definitely bring value to you and to the other person. But if you're having to lie about who you are or what makes you happy, then you're just becoming a glutton for punishment. Number 7, daily respectful actions. There was a janitor in the building I went to grammar school in. And I made a point to greet him every morning by his name. His name was Ralph. One day, he told me, "You're the only one who ever says hi." I'd say, "Good morning, Ralph." "Hi, Ralph." "Good afternoon, Ralph." That stuck with me. Now, Ralph was a nice guy, But Ralph was also one of the people that seemed to report people to the principal and stuff like that because you know why? He always had to fix these things. And I remember times when I would need something. Like I might be running from something. It could have been, I don't know, it could have been somebody chasing me, something stupid. And I come in and he's like, "What's up?" I said, somebody's chasing me or trying to, it's coming after me. He's like, "Here, come in here." And when the person came and looked at me, he says, "Is he here?" He says, "No, he's not here." And we said, "Well, I can look around." He says, "No, you can't look around in my shop. This is my place. You can't look around here." And he was being defensive to the guy. He's like, "Well, if you have so much time trying to find this gentleman, maybe I should go to the principal and let them know that you actually need some more work in your schedule." He was a quiet man. He reminded me of my grandfather. And to this point, I never realized he was a role model, but he was. And you're the only one who ever says hi, is what he said to me. And that stuck with me. A few words, a smile, or even remembering someone's name can brighten their entire day. When we often underestimate the impact of a small, respectful gesture, they're not just kind, they're transformative. These moments accumulate and define who we are to others in the world that often feels rushed. And I remember one time there was a choice between doing something right and doing something wrong. And he was there and he's like, "John, you're better than that. You know what to do. You know that's not what you want to do." And in the beginning, before we became friends, he would always catch me in things. Not that I was doing wrong. He was like, "What are you doing?" And as we became friends, I was helping him. I also served on being on what we call the pretzel committee, where our school or private school sold pretzels. I think it was on Tuesdays. I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. And Sister Elizabeth had me on her team, and I would be in charge of the mustard. So I'd come down early. I would fill the mustard. I would take the mustard out of the the kitchen in the freezer or the refrigerator, pour it into the jugs, and be ready to go. And there was even another thing I did that during the time I actually went to the teacher's room and would take their order. One of the nice perks I got was I got a free pretzel. Now, it wasn't a lot, but it was a nice thought. And this man, Ralph, supported me more ways than you could ever imagine. And the thing is this, when I thought he was trying to come after me, he was just trying to teach me a lesson. And when he realized how I cared for the property and I cared for things, he started being, well, let's say, less defensive because he knew everybody always wanted to make more work for him. And when I showed respect and I showed how I appreciated what he did, he was like my best friend. Sometimes I'd come down there and I'd come and eat lunch with him. And he was really grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Please do check out believemeachieve.com for all of my amazing, inspiring creations, and I'll catch you real soon, everyone.